I'm here with Kate Casey. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
you're the host of Reality Life with Kate Casey,
Hmm.
which is intimidating because you are the host of a podcast that's in the top charts on Apple Podcasts under TV and film. And you're also the creator of What to Watch This Week with Kate Casey.
Hmm.
And for your topic today, we're going to talk about reality TV.
My favorite.
And you've written some of the most interesting takes that I think people need to hear. So I'm excited to get into it. So I'm going to start 20-minute timer.
Okay.
Um, Generally, I ask why you chose reality TV as your topic. Um, but maybe the better question is when did your love for reality TV begin?
So when I was in high school, I went to this boarding school for underprivileged kids, and it was like a student home with 16 girls. We all lived together. We had roommates, had to do chores, etc. So I was home for holiday break, and I watched a show called The Real World. And I thought, this is just like my boarding school experience. You live in a house where you have people from different regions of the country, sometimes different faith or cultures, and you're picked to live in a loft, kind of the same thing, and to find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. And it just really spoke to my soul. I love the idea of going somewhere and meeting people that have a completely dissimilar life to your own, and I like the idea of being a voyeur into this living experience for people that I think are at such a precious time period, which is after you graduate from college and you're really beginning to strip away your parents' ideologies and build your own life with your own set of friends and build your career. So it really sucked me in, and I was immediately somebody who really connected to real people, real stories. Some people love movies. I liked documentary films and I liked reality television because I felt like the great thing about those projects is that the story lives on. When a character is in a movie or a TV show, it's like, well, that's the end of the story. But with reality TV or documentaries, you can still follow someone's life and you can keep checking back in on them, t 2, 5, 7, 10 years. Okay, well, how has the trajectory of your life changed? And when you look back at that experience, what did you learn from it? What did you learn about other people and about yourselves? So I was always sucked into that, and I began a show 9 years ago. I pitched it to a network, Wondery, and I said I would love to do a show about reality television as sort of a love letter to them. I'd like to track down people who were on shows like The Real World and ask them how it changed their life. And if you can believe this, they asked me at the time, do you think enough people watch reality television? And now there are literally thousands of podcasts that are about reality TV. And I started with one episode a week, and now I do 6 episodes a week. And the common kind of thread line is I'm telling you what is an interesting story, whether it's in the form of a reality television show or a documentary. I really feel like the smartest people in the world watch reality television because it, to me, is just a study in human behavior.
Yeah.
And when you expand into documentaries, there are so many people that have said to me over time, I never thought I liked sports until I started watching sports doc series because it just gives you a window into someone else's life. And I think the more you look at people's lives through the lens of a reality television show or a documentary, you kind of realize I'm not actually that dissimilar to that person. I, may have health issues, or I'm struggling in my marriage or parenting. I don't feel confident in my job. I think it sort of strips away the notions that you have about somebody based on where they live, their income, or their faith or their culture. And that I think is the most incredible part of being part of a world that does so much to expose people to the way that other people live and think.
Yeah. You've said that people who watch documentary or sorry, reality TV, because I think the distinction is important, mainly in how people perceive it. Uh,
Yep.
you've said that people who watch reality TV are cultural anthropologists.
Yes.
And I think that's like a really great way to look at reality TV, and two, it's sort of imposes as an audience like a certain lens with which to watch reality TV. And I think that's what a lot of people who do write reality TV off as maybe lowbrow or something that isn't or is even worth like differentiating as a whole separate genre from documentary. Simply because maybe they're just not watching it with the right lens.
Right.
But I have a couple interesting intersections with reality TV. I mean, I worked on a reality TV show for a year called The Glass House. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I am.
Yeah, so it existed, I think, just one season, and then Big Brother
Mhm.
sued them, and yeah, so I was there for that season. I worked the night shift and watched uh, like 8 of 100 cameras that were being like
Mhm.
shown to me. I was a logger. It was a very weird part of my life, but that was like watching people sleep. Very, very interesting voyeuristic job.
Mhm.
The other intersection I have is my grandmother, who's 94 years old, is obsessed with 90 Day Fiance.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, so I've watched seasons. She will talk like effusive. I've never seen her talk
Yes.
so excited about anything other than 90 Day Fiance. And I think it one shows like just how broad the appeal of reality TV is. And I
Yes.
think part of what makes it so appealing is the characters that are, I mean, they're real people, but it's what I'm always like attached to in any form of art or
Mhm.
like storytelling are the characters. And there's just nothing, the vulnerability that is like exposed in reality TV is just, it's unparalleled.
I agree with you. I think too, when you watch a reality show, and you start to, first of all, let go of this notion that it's lowbrow, which I can't stand. It bothers
Yeah.
me. And by the way, the people that tell me, oh, I don't want to waste brain cells or I don't have enough time, seemingly know every single, cast member of The Bachelor who's in the final. So it's almost like a dirty little secret. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to keep it a secret. Like plenty of people that you know are watching it as well. But when you take a show like a Real Housewives, for example, and maybe it's four women and they're at a dinner table. And if someone's walking through the room, they might think, oh, it's just a bunch of women and they're arguing. To me, I'm looking at what's each woman's singular story. Where are they from? What kind of parents did they have? What are the values in which they grew up believing in? Where did they go to school? What's their job? Do they have any children? How long have they been married? What do they think about themselves at this point in their life? Now I'm thinking about how their lives intersect with the other women. Do they find commonality? What is that commonality? Do they have different views on parenting and marriage? Does that create conflict? Where does this person seem to be moving in the next 5 years? Do they feel like they're confident enough to make a transition in their life? I'm picking at all the certain like interpersonal and personal issues to try to figure out who those women are in this moment in time. And if you think about it, traditional media or movies, I should say, or even TV shows, have long forgotten about certain segments of the population. So when Real Housewives, for example, came out, it was an exploration of women in a certain age category that were just not being covered in movies and TV. And other reality shows do the same.
Yeah, and one of I think the most interesting articles you wrote touches on not just it showing like well it's the Ozzy Osbourne one. And I think
Mhm.
that just like the way that you kind of I hadn't really thought about what a profound effect that show has had on our culture. But when you really think about this guy who was once famous for like, biting the head of a bat actually ended up being significantly more famous for, trying to figure out a TV remote.
Yep.
It's just there's something so profound
Hmm.
in that culturally. And it says a lot about, what we actually want as a culture. We want to watch humans.
We especially want to watch people that we perceive as having an aspirational life. And the beauty of the Osbournes is you take this person who seems bombastic, right?
Yeah.
And then quickly you realize, oh, he's got like a caramel center. He's totally in love with his family. He's so sweet. And it completely shifted the way that we looked at him as just his own persona, who he was as an artist and as a person. And then it changed the way we looked at celebrities.
Yeah.
And then it opened the door to people wanting access to celebrities because we wanted to know, well, what is it like to be famous? Is it like you have a butler at your house, that
Yeah.
you don't have any problems, that you don't have any stresses? Your life must be so much easier. And then when you get access, you realize, they've got an agent and manager that they can't get a phone call back from. They've got other relatives that they have to pay for. They're worried nonstop about whether or not they're going to get the next project, if they're overlooked, if they're aging. And it just really humanizes everybody.
Yeah, I think right now, in many ways, we're going through this re re-understanding. Like we're re-examining what a celebrity is.
Hmm.
I think it's shifting. And I imagine reality TV played a big part in that. I mean, I think about like Cameo, you know,
Yes.
like that's a Cameo is literally like it's taking celebrity culture and turning it into like its own creator economy. It's a very
Yeah.
fascinating
And by the
cultural.
way, a lot of those reality stars make more money in a year on Cameo than they
Yeah,
actually make on the television project.
I would imagine so. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I think maybe since I don't know, I haven't thought about this as deeply, but my like intuition is like it's really about the people. Um,
Hmm.
and maybe it's has it shifted? Oh, like if it did start, I don't know the whole like a history of reality TV, but did it shift from like celebrity focus to uh more like to less celebrity driven?
Yeah, I would say that when you really saw that shift would be the first season of Survivor,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden that show was on the cover of every magazine and people wanted to know every single detail about all of the contestants. And I think since then, you really see an audience that's hungry for access to every part of someone's life. And what made it even better was that movie stars were so guarded. They're protected by publicists, agents, and managers. They live in Beverly Hills behind a gated wall. They have no idea how regular people are. And then suddenly, like a person that you went to college with is on the cover of Us magazine and they're being interviewed by all these media outlets. And you think, well, that could be me,
Yeah.
different than a movie star. And then you also get access to them. They want to do interviews. They're excited to go to an event and to meet people and wait in line and talk about their experiences. And celebrities never were like that. So I think that was a big shift too.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like the time, definitely length play. I mean, reality TV is really so much of it. Um, it's like seasons are long, episodes are long, and a lot of it is just, you know, you just really get to sit with these characters for or these people. I don't for a
Yeah.
long time, and you feel like you know them. I know that from watching 90 Day Fiance, so I could converse
Yep.
with my grandma. But I'm also thinking, every once in a while I will have my like a reality uh connection. One that I had like, I guess it's probably quite a. I don't remember when the first season was, but The Circle. Uh,
Oh, right.
that the first season of that, like I could tell you every character on that.
Yeah.
Uh, for some reason, that one just really resonated with me. I thought it was one of like the best pieces of TV I'd ever seen.
Yeah, it was really inventive and it really was of the time. Parasocial relationships, really unpacking that. And I also think it touched on catfishing. And that's
Yeah,
something that's like an endlessly fascinating topic. And then the 90 Day Fiance thing, that's an example of a show. And I think episodes or seasons 2 and 3 were the ones that are like the best of the best of the best. But I think it illuminated people to the headaches that come when you date somebody abroad, but also the process of immigration. And then you have a show like Shaws of Sunset on Bravo. There was one season, well, it's a bunch of friends that live essentially in Beverly Hills, and they all have family from Iran. And there was this one season where they wanted to go back and see if they could connect with relatives, but because of their family dynamics and the government situation, they could only go to the border of Iran with Turkey.
Hmm.
And they had relatives come over and meet them in Turkey. And you're seeing these really incredibly painful moments where these Americans are meeting with their relatives and they're talking about what their parents left behind. And for many people, they probably have never met somebody from Iran. They were unfamiliar with what happened with the revolution. And suddenly, this person that they've been following their life, they're like, I feel like that's my friend.
Yeah.
And it can be an incredibly useful tool to highlight people's experiences and moments in history and how it shifts our culture, but also the way policy is.
Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible way to look at it. I I really, for me, like vulnerability is really like the currency of social relationships, almost like
Mhm.
connectedness of life. I think it's like what, you know, authors and filmmakers of fiction are trying to create is vulnerability. And it's like it's the highest currency there is. And reality TV that's done well elicits vulnerability in a way that I think nothing else has quite gotten at. Um,
Yeah.
and the just because it's a reference that I know very well, like thinking about The Circle, it's like there's one element of reality TV where it's like observational,
Mhm.
and you're just kind of like getting to know the people, but
Yeah.
to get into their psyche and see like not only do you get to know them, you get to know what persona they would create were they to create it. And
Yes.
it's just like so many levels of like analysis.
Well,
Um,
also, for me, if I track a show for many seasons, I see the way someone's complete chemistry changes after they become famous.
oh
And
wow.
that to me is another study in human behavior. Like, what happens when you take someone literally plucked from obscurity and then they have people that stop them in the streets. For housewives, it's interesting because maybe they were the wife of and in the background, and then suddenly they're getting attention that maybe they've never received. And also now they have financial power and independence. And that's interesting to kind of watch how someone changes as well.
Does it become,
Well, a lot of them get divorced.
huh?
Yeah, and now the husband's like, I don't like this that you're on social media all the time and you're answering people, or that when we go to dinner, it's about you and not me. And I don't like that you're not asking me for some sort of allowance. I don't like that you're being invited to go on television shows. I don't like that you've changed the way you look. It could be many different things.
It's interesting that reality TV started as an analysis of celebrity, and now it's a creator of celebrity.
It absolutely is. In fact, you will see, I think it's hopefully going to change, but for a long time now, people would actively go on reality shows because it was the best way to get cast for a movie or TV show. Because when you would go in for an audition, they're asking you how many social media followers do you have?
Yeah,
That's currency.
yeah.
And I'm seeing a slight shift now with the success of Heated Rivalry, where you have really talented actors plucked from obscurity, and the show did so well. I think it's making studios feel confident again that that system works because they would take TikTok influencers or Instagram influencers and put them into movies. But the way that people could build up and become a TikTok influencer or an Instagram influencer was to go on a reality show.
Huh. So you
You
think
know,
even though,
I think in our current economy,
yeah,
visibility equals profitability.
yes,
And so for a lot of people, even back years ago, remember The Bachelor? It was like that was the escalator to success. You
yeah,
could be like a teacher or working in an accounting firm, but then you could be a contestant on this, dating show, and then suddenly you have 150,000 followers, and now you're getting business. I had a Bachelor contestant tell me, and I swear to you, I was like, you've got to be out of your mind. He was a complete weirdo, and he said, "Well, now that I'm on the show, because he had his MBA, but he worked at like a company that made like pool supplies or something." And not even like an executive, just employee said, well, now that I've been on The Bachelor and I have all these followers, I have companies contacting me, to see if I'll like run their company. Craziness.
Yeah. But even though heated rivalry is fiction, you still think that that is indicative of how reality TV is going to progress?
Yeah, because I think now you'll see all of a sudden, because this became a success, it was about two ice hockey players. You see people that probably have never watched a hockey game, all of a sudden are like following hockey teams. They want to know all the players. Are they married? There's a spider web effect.
Yeah. We're with
I guarantee you they're going to greenlight a reality show in the next 2 months about an ice hockey player or a team in behind the scenes because suddenly everyone's interested in ice hockey now.
well, we have gone through our 20 minutes. It goes quick. Um,
Yes.
but what can you what should folks be watching right now in the reality scene?
Ugh, well, I will say this one I think is a universal hit in every household. And teenagers love it, couples love it. It's called Love Undercover and it's on Peacock. Now it's been on for like a year, but I'm telling you it's one to watch.
You wanna watch it?
So imagine these women show up and they think they're going to be on a reality dating show, and they've told them, you American women clearly have had the worst time trying to find a great guy. So we went to the UK and we found these guys. But they all have regular jobs, but we're thinking maybe you might be able to find long and lasting love with a guy from the UK. What they are not telling these women is that all of these men are international soccer stars. So when they meet them, they're kind of judgy. Like, I mean, he's like maybe too tall, but he's only like he works in construction. And so the whole show is like unpacking
Wow.
their view of these guys that they think are not going to keep up with their perceived lifestyle because they're like basically influencer wannabes.
Hmm.
And then you get to see as they start to break up with these girls, revealing the truth of it. Like I'm actually like I have 4 million followers and I'm like on one of the best teams in the UK. And then also in the process, all of these guys become like great friends, and that's also a funny part of it too.
It, so much of reality TV is a study of celebrity.
That's it.
It's
People
fast.
that are celebrities or want to be celebrities.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna
Thank you.
love Undercover.
Yeah.
And people should tune into your podcast and check out your Substack to stay up to date with interesting reality stuff. Uh, I hope more people watch reality TV with the lens and perspective that you're suggesting they do.
I love it too because when people start watching and maybe it's a show about international travel, and then you get to hear the perspective of pilots or, somebody who's in the insurance industry, or what all of the different viewpoints that people bring through their lens watching someone else's life, I find infinitely fascinating.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.